What's up, people? I am back for another video. Sorry I did not do a video yet. I was tired after work, so I just was too tired, and I felt like I was not in like a position to do a video. So next Monday, I promise will be the 2002 list. But today I watched No Time to Die, and the video is gonna be titled "No Time to Die." I want to die because that's what I was feeling when I was watching this pile of shit. Like, oh my god, it ended in a whimper. I can't even call it a whimper. This is There was no fucks given in this movie. It was clearly made because Spectre was clearly supposed to be the last film. Like now, like it. I was thinking that, but now after watching this clearly was because Daniel Craig clearly didn't give a fuck. It felt like it was giving me. I was thinking this throughout when I was watching. I was like, this is Han Solo, Harrison Ford in Episode 7. He was phoning in it because he knew this was it, and it just did not work. Madeline Swan's not a bad love interest, but I didn't need that opening where we had to see her as a kid. Did we really need that? No. And they wanted to do something to make her look like the bad guy. So something had to fuck up their honeymoon, and then just everyone in his performance, like even Ralph Fiennes, who great actor, really liked him as M in the last movie. He does nothing in this one. There's not really a moment, like there was not even a good scene between him and Bond at all. It was just everyone's just was just fucking running, going through the motions. Fucking Q is a non-entity, and I actually like this Q, but he doesn't do anything this movie. And it's like they just didn't care. It was clearly a cash grab. Because Spectre was clearly supposed to be the last film. Even the way it ends, like Blofeld being revealed as the one who basically fucked up Bond's life up until that point. I would have been fine with that, but no, we have to force this fucking movie that really serves no purpose. You wasted everybody, to be honest. There's like a lot of good actors in this, and you just wasted them. Rami Malek, good actor. He was, I love him as Freddie Mercury. I've seen him in other stuff I like. What was his purpose here? As I didn't even remember the villain's name until I had to look it up on Wikipedia. His name was Safin. It was something about nanobots, which was dumb. He was such a you're going to hear me say this a lot in this video. Non-entity. That's what he was. He was such a non-entity in this movie. You would have been better off if you were going to force this fucking bullshit movie. If you wanted to have a villain, you should have just had fucking Blofeld escape in some bullshit way. Because at least we would have had Christoph Waltz. And obviously, let's just get the whole elephant out of the room. The elephant in the room. Bond dying. Because he gets infected with a nanobot, so he decides to stay with the island so it blows up. Why the fuck would you do that? You don't kill James Bond, but like that? And then he doesn't even have a good performance. Like, Daniel Craig was clearly phoning it in. There was like maybe one or two scenes where I'm like, that's kind of James Bond. But like the rest of the movie, he was just going through the motions because he knew this was his last movie. So it's like, phone it in. So you have him have a bad performance and then you end it like that. It's so bad. I was so just checked out too, like by like the third, to be honest, like by the 30-40 minute mark, I was just checked out. I didn't care. Clearly everyone else who made this pile of shit didn't care. The opening action scene was okay, I guess, but every other scene was bullshit. Lashana Lynch sucked. And I'm going to be honest, I almost forgot that she had the name 007. Because I was just so checked out of this movie. Like, okay, if I had to say one positive, I did like Anna de Armas in this movie, but she's in like one scene. Why wasn't she the Bond girl? Like, I don't understand. And it's not even just because she's good looking. She had that like kind of classic femme fatale kind of look. She's in a dress, she's fighting in a realistic way. But then it's like you get rid of her for boring ass Lashana Lynch, who she was fucking boring. She just ah. This movie was such bullshit. It was why was this made again? You didn't need to make this movie. Spectre ended it perfectly because there was no point. Spectre, even in the movie, has no presence. Yeah, this was bad, and the whole nanobot shit. Who cares? There was no point to the no point to anything. It was just such a waste of a movie. It it was so fucking bad. Out of 10, this is easily the worst Bond movie. Now that I'm like comparing them all, yeah, this is easily the worst. I think Daniel Craig, and it's not even just him. I think even the writing, they didn't even really let Bond be Bond in this movie. They like pulled the same problem I had with Quantum of Solace. Like, let's just have him be generic action dude. When that's not James Bond. He's supposed to have charisma and charm, and I just didn't feel like he had that at all in this movie. There was no charm from him at all. There was like maybe one or two scenes you kind of saw it, but also when it goes back to Daniel Craig clearly knew he was leaving, so he's like, I'm gonna phone it in. It's like I'm gonna say it again. It felt like Harrison Ford in Episode 7, where he knew he was done, so he just phoned it in, and it was just going through the motions, and that's what this movie was. It really solidifies that, yeah, Spectre's. So in my eyes, the Craig era is basically only three movies: Casino Royale, Skyfall, Spectre. That's it. Because I don't really like Quantum of Solace. Granted, I think it's better than this, but this is. I don't count this as canon. This doesn't even exist to me. Like, that's how you end. Bond shouldn't die, but of course, he shouldn't die by fucking. He gets infected with nanobots, so I'm gonna say, oh, I'm sorry, but I want to protect you, Swan, and fucking her daughter, who. What was the point of her having a daughter? They don't really. I don't even remember if they explained. I'll be honest, guys. I was really checked out by the point we got to the bulk of the movie. Yeah. So, um, yeah, this is a pile of shit. Thankfully, tomorrow I'm gonna watch something better. I'm gonna watch fucking Transporter. So that'll be fun to do. So I'm gonna be doing that tomorrow. Thursday, I will be doing Insidious: The Red Door, or Insidious 3. Or the real Insidious 3. So that's my plans up until. So I'm still gonna do videos throughout the week. I'm sorry I didn't do a video yesterday. I was dead yesterday, guys. And then Sunday, the reason I didn't do a video Sunday, fucking neighbors. When I was at my mom's house, fucking neighbors were fucking having like a late night party. So it was like, I didn't want to do a video and you guys would have been hearing loud fucking voices. It wasn't just like music. It was like, you could hear these motherfuckers talk. And I'm like, I don't want y'all to hear that in the video. So I just opted out of doing a video. So sorry, that's why I didn't do a video Sunday and then yesterday. But yeah, fuck this pile of shit. Fuck who made this. Fuck who greenlit it too. There was no point. Spectre would have been a fine ending. So to me, the Craig era is a trilogy. I can live with that. I don't think Craig is a bad. I'm gonna say it again. He's not a bad Bond. I just think they were like, we gotta have him be depressed, boring, generic dude. So anyway, let's cheers, and then we're gonna get started. Let me see something. So the movie starts. We see Madeline Swan's origin story. We see her parents get killed. And then the assassin There's like a chase, and she ends up getting somehow under the ice. I don't know how. And then he saves her. Whatever. Jump time. Her and Bond are on like basically their romance trip, but then he gets attacked by a Spectre agent, and basically he kind of suspects that she set up a trap. So he breaks up with her, and then we have a time jump, and uh, Bond apparently, yeah, he's there's a new agent that took his name, which they don't really even explain why, but so a bunch of nanobots are killing people that are organized by Spectre, and Bond confronts not Q M, and just Ralph Fiennes, just literally everybody was just phoning it in, man. There was no care in this movie. It's because I liked. Granted, he appeared in Skyfall, but we saw him as M in Spectre, and it was like he was good, and it was like, what happened? There was like no chemistry. I think it's on both ends. I don't necessarily think it's just on Daniel Craig. Because I know I was saying I felt like Daniel Craig was phoning it in, but I also just felt like everyone was kind of phoning it in. I don't know if it was like a subtle. Did everyone know that this movie didn't need to exist? Like, and that's just what it felt like. So I'm just gonna say Lashana. I don't remember her name. So she's the new 007, and Q. It's sad because I actually really like this version of Q, and then he does nothing in the movie. He introduces like a some kind of sub. I don't know. It's like a sub air thing, some new tech, but he's just kind of a gimmick in this. He's there just he says a couple lines, and it's sad because I like that version of Q. It's like you have all these characters that you kind of built up. I guess she's supposed to be M's daughter because I think you see her in one scene. And Safin is the villain of the film, and what a waste of Rami Malek. He's a good actor. I think he can play it. He was a villain in 24, like a minor villain, but he was pretty good for the one episode he was in. And it's like, in this, he's just generic city. He's a non-entity. He has no presence. He would have just been better off. I was thinking the whole time, you should have just had Blofeld escape. It would have been cheap, but you have Blofeld escape, and then maybe he gets to Madam. I would have did the kid. There was no reason for her to have a daughter. That just was just an extra, like, drama. Like, oh, Bond could have had a family. That's what they were fucking going for. It was so obvious. Um, uh, I would have just had, yeah, Blofeld escape and he kills her. At least she would have had more of an effect on the story. But I'll be honest, Swan in this movie has no presence. I think the other problem, there was too many Bond girls. You didn't know who was the main Bond girl because yeah, you had her, you had Lashana Lynch, and then you had um, Anna de Armas. Granted, for one scene, because she's a person who works with Felix. So Bond and her work together, take out some guy. That was like probably the best scene in the movie. But why wasn't she the Bond girl? I think she would have made way more sense. It isn't. I think, and she also had personality. I felt like her and Bond had a little bit more, way more chemistry. Lashana Lynch was just boring. She was generic action, but not even good action chick. Just, I'm here, do some, fight scenes and shoot some people, and that's it. There's nothing else to her character. And I think in general, she's just not a good actress. I didn't feel like she didn't really hang out. I didn't feel like she really hung with, even though it's Daniel Craig phone to get in, I still felt like she really didn't hang with him. You would have been better off just having Anna de Armas. Granted, obviously, I don't even think this movie should exist, but if you're gonna do it, so yeah, they end up. The nanobots it's another MacGuffin. Like, they don't explain really what they do. They kind of do. Then yeah, there's a scene where Bond confronts Blofeld, and it's such a waste of Christoph Waltz. Like I said, you would have been better off if he had escaped, because there was no reason to have him in this movie besides he infects Bond with the secretly with the nanobots, which end up killing, and can obviously affect others. what else happens? Because I'll admit there was a big portion I just kind of checked out. The action scenes were okay, I guess. It, there was really nothing to them. The chasing was okay. Like it was just very action that we kind of seen already. Daniel Craig didn't even have the charm. Oh, there's a scene where Felix Leiter ends up getting killed, which there was no reason. It was such bad storytelling in that sense of, oh, let's, because it's the last movie, we got to get some emotion, so let's just kill off a character, even though you don't really need to. Like Felix Leiter, I actually think he was another character. I felt like he was one of the better parts of the movie. I'd even been fine if it was like a not a buddy film, but them two working together. But no, you just have them there just to die. For what? Just so you can have like one of the people who works with ends up turning on him. Whatever. Then there's a scene where, yeah, Bond sees her again. Madeline's supposed to be after 5 years. She has a kid now. That's not his. Just so you could have Bond could have had a family. So they get attacked. Bond ends up killing the guy who killed Felix and a lot of his people. Which I'll admit, that scene was kind of cool. He flipped the car on him. He literally, like, because he ran out of ammo, he just kind of says some shit to him and then flips him. But there was not a moment Craig really got to showcase him being Bond. It's like they regressed. It's like in the past two movies, I thought they fixed that problem. Like, oh, Bond, they let Craig be like Bond. Because I think the moments we actually got to showcase being Bond, he's good. But like, no, let's just be generic, dude, and depressed guy because wham, my woman died, or she's not gonna be able to be with me because obviously he finds out about the nanobots, which can kill you. It's so bad. And Safin throughout the film barely shows up, and it's crazy because you didn't get a lot of Blofeld in the last movie, but Christoph Waltz is such a good actor, and the story was well written that he was able to make it work. Brainy Malik couldn't make this work. He was just there. He was such a non-entity. You would have been better off just having it be Blofeld. At least you would have had it make sense. You have the guy who mainly, that Bond kind of gets his second. You could have even did a thing where obviously I would have went with, even though it's kind of predictable, but sometimes predictable isn't always bad. Blofeld breaks out. He kills um, Swan in some big way. I wouldn't have did the kid. I just would have. It would have just been her. And then Bond having him. If you want to depress Bond, this is how you do it. Have him, deal with the fact he had a chance to kill him in the last movie. So have him have to live with that. That you had a chance to kill him and you didn't, and now your woman's dead, and you can kind of blame himself. No, no. At least you give Bond some kind of. Granted, I don't personally. Bond, I don't like the idea of him being all wimpy because a girl of his died or some. No, that's not Bond. He does it for his country because he's James Bond. He's an agent. He's supposed to be kind of unattached. I think that's what made the character work. They should have just made Vesper Lynn that reason why Bond doesn't get attached. No, no. We have to have him get attached again. And be my family. Oh, for fuck's sake. So she gets kidnapped again. Her and him and fucking Lashana Lynch break into his base, take out some guys. The action is just so monotonous too. It's not even like it doesn't stand out like in the last two films. It's just, oh, we're going through the motions. Oh, but here's Bond shooting some people. Here's the other girl shooting some people. Here's some fight scenes, like fist fight scenes. Whatever. So yeah, he ends up rescuing her. Because he realizes he's infected. He basically tells her to escape while he kills Safin. And basically, the place is starting to blow up and he decides to stay on the island. And then it ends with him telling his daughter about James Bond. It was fucking shit. Fuck this movie. There was no reason this had to exist. This was just... I think Spectre made some money and they were like, okay, let's do another one. Like, let's try to force another one. because it didn't need it. Spectre clearly wasn't the end. You know, he finally decides to not kill Blofeld. He retires, has his woman, drives off in the Aston Martin. I would have been fine with that. I honestly would have been okay with that ending. Instead of this shit, he's gonna fucking die. Just stand on the island like a fucking idiot because nanobots, which he barely fucking even explains. That's why I've not even really talked about it, because there's nothing really to talk about. They're just fucking MacGuffin thing that bad guy has. I hate this movie. This movie really made me want to die. That's why I'm going to call it that. I want to die. That's what this fucking movie made me feel. There was no reason. What a waste of not just a legendary character, but Daniel Craig, who's actually, I think he is a good Bond. You know, he had three. You know, I'm going to say three because I like Casino Royale. But he had three good films, and then it's like and the last two were in a row, and then you just fuck it. So you can wedge this bullshit. And, you know, obviously there's some modern bullshit. Like, I don't even really like the idea of Bond having a kid. That's not his character. He's not supposed to be a fucking dad. That's not his character. So it's just so much. Safin was such a boring villain, so it's like a non-entity villain. Why was he there? Why didn't you just have Blofeld escape? And then they don't even really explain what happened to Blofeld. He's just arrested. You know, he's just in jail. They don't even explain what happened to him. You wasted him. You wasted Ralph Fiennes. Lashana Lynch should not have been the Bond girl, because theoretically she kind of was the Bond girl throughout the movie. Because we only see Ana de Armas for like maybe 20, 30 minutes. And Madeline Swan, I don't really consider, because that's like his girlfriend, if you really think about it. It's so bad. I just didn't care. Don't watch this. If you're a Bond fan, do not watch this one. If you're gonna watch the Craig ones, I only really recommend Skyfall. I mean, well, that one too, but No Time to Fuck. Casino Royale, Skyfall, and Spectre. Just watch that as a trilogy. I honestly don't even really think it's worth watching Quantum of Solace, because that one was just basically a Mission Impossible. It was borderline, not Mission Impossible, I meant to say Jason Bourne. That's kind of what it was. It was more of a Bourne film. Craig didn't even really get to show him being Bond. It was just generic action movie. The other three were straight up, especially the last two, were straight up Bond films. And then it's like they regressed, but in a really bad way, because Daniel Craig just did not care. When you know, but here's my thing. I think you should know, as an actor, even if it's your last one, you know it's going to be your last one. You should perform your ass off, but I guess it's the opposite. They're like, you know, here's before I say this all the time. He did the same thing with episode 7. It's like, he knew he was going to die anyway, so it's like, fuck it, I'm just going to phone it in and go in the motions. You know, go through the motions. And that's what this was. But it's not just him, though. I feel like everybody was just going through the motions. So, because of that, it's even worse than just being bad. You were clearly you didn't care. And you just wedged this movie because you saw Spectre made some money. So yeah, fuck this movie. This Bond song is terrible. I think it's like Billie Eilish or some shit. Yeah, this movie is awful. Out of 10, this is like almost Indy 5 bad. It's damn near close. I think Indy 5 is probably worse, because at least it wasn't like a corpse. And at least with Bond, because there's so many different actors, you could I can just separate this one out. And just, like I said, Casino Royale, Skyfall, Spectre. That's my Craig era. Because I think Daniel Craig, I'm going to say it again, he is not a bad Bond when they let him actually showcase it. You know, it's just, for whatever reason, this one and then Quantum Solace, they're just like, fuck it, let's just not let him show that. Let's just have him be crybaby Bond, because my woman, it's not the character. And I don't even really like the idea of Bond having that's not, I think there are just some characters that are not necessarily destined to have a family in that sense. I'm going to say the same thing. Batman, I think he's another character I'm okay with him having girlfriends. I think that's as far as I go. I don't want him having a kid. Like, to me, I know there's Damian Wayne. Technically, I don't count him as canon. I don't fucking care. To me, he is not. That is not my main Batman canon. So I kind of disregard him in that sense. Because I think it's the same thing. Some characters are just not destined to have a family in that traditional sense. And I think definitely Bond is one of them. He is an agent. If you want to have him go off and have a girlfriend and then you can end that version of Bond's story, okay, I'm okay with that. You know, Never Say Never Again kind of did that with Sean Connery. So, but he didn't get to have a kid or anything. He at least, it was like, okay, let's just end this version of Bond's story. But no, they couldn't just have him right off in the sunset. No, they had to like fuck him. So yeah, fuck this movie. So that's all I could really say. Tomorrow I'm gonna be reviewing Transport, a very underrated action movie. I actually really like the second one too. Um, Figured since, like I said, Expendables, the new one's coming out, why not do a Jason Statham franchise? So anyway, guys, I'm gonna peace out. Fuck this movie. Skip it. If even if you're gonna, unless you just want to be a completionist, just skip it. There's nothing worth watching in it. Even the action is just very monotonous at times. Even the action feels like it's going through the motions. So